Hey everybody, welcome back to the Unsung Podcast. Today I'm here with Amy. She's a local professional trainer who works with kids, adults. She's a power lifter. We're gonna get into all that good stuff. But Amy, welcome to my little show.
Thanks for having me.
We crossed paths about a year and a half ago on the local
Mm.
town page, and I've yet to come work out with you, but I've been following you along, and just your special journey is working with a lot of kids as well.
hmm
Um, Tell my listeners about all about you.
All right. My name is Amy Detmers. I own a business called YABBA. It stands for Young Athletes Built by Amy. I started this just over 2 years ago. But before that, I taught CrossFit for about 10 years and I started CrossFit Kids. Really enjoyed the kids stuff a lot. And then about 3 years ago, me and my husband moved to his family farm out by Grantham. And I was just like working in Lethbridge, like a 9 to 5 job, just like through COVID and all of that. I didn't go back full-time coaching. And then when we moved, I got to give credit to my husband. He was like, Amy, you should do your own thing. And I was like, wow, I don't think I can do that. And he's like, well, why not? And I was like, well, okay, fine. So I started Yabba. He also thought of the name. So if he listens to this podcast, make sure he knows that I gave him um, but yeah, so he thought of the name. I really love the name. It's kind of like Yabba Dabba Doo, like kids and fun. And so I started classes in Fort McLeod. That started going off really well. As like there was no classes in Fort McLeod, really at that time. And then I reached out to a gym in Claresholm. I met Candice, and through that, she owns her own gym, and she's got a great place there. And she allows me to coach classes there as well. And then I also coach youth classes at the University of Lethbridge through partnering with the rec center, which is just great there. And then so it just allows me to kind of like branch out and reach more kids. It's kind of cool when I think about in like a week setting, I'm coaching about like 50 to 60 kids. And yeah, I remember all their names. I want to know about them, right? Like my biggest thing is like owning my own business. I can control like how I present myself and how I coach. Because I want to set myself apart from other coaches or other people that do youth stuff. And so I really focus on like getting to know each kid and helping them just through things, right? Because like especially rural kids, they don't have as much opportunities as the city kids have. And that's why I really wanted to make sure I was like tailoring to those kids, like farm kids. I was a farm kid. I had no idea what a gym was when I was little. And so, yeah, just working with the youth, like life sucks, right? Like, kids are on social media too much,
Yeah.
they're on iPads too much, and it really takes away, I think, from childhood, like playing, right? Back in the day, my dad would kick us outside and lock the door, you
Yeah.
know, and like even with myself, like social media can be a really hard thing where you compare yourself a lot and like kids are gonna see like Photoshop pictures of say like like teenage girls looking at other girls and my big thing is like hey Lynn, instead of like wanting kids to like get skinny or stuff like that, it's like hey, let's get these kids strong, let's get them confident, and so then they can like stick up for themselves too, right? Like all these kids that are getting bullied, like why are they getting bullied? Like bullies, I hate bullies. I was made fun of as a kid a lot. I was overweight. I was like not like super overweight, but like being from a small town, I was just always the biggest kid. And that affected me like even now. And so that's a big why as to why I do kids classes and what I want to focus on. Like even in my classes, I tell the kids, I was like, hey, if you guys like are mean to anybody, you're out. Like that's not okay here. And like just teaching them respect and like respect your elders. Like I feel like into today's society, we're losing that. Like I know as a kid, I grew up and like whatever your grandma or grandpa said, like you listen. Like
Oh,
you do not talk back to your grandparents. And so like I'm not an elder, but like I want the kids to respect me and then I teach them like how I showed them respect too. So like if a kid, like accidentally pushed somebody and there's like arguing about it, I'm like, hey, well, I'm going to talk to both of these kids, sit them down and like, hey, let's just communicate to each other, right? Because the kid will be like, well, I didn't even know you were there. And they're like, well, you pushed me. And it's just like, well, if you just communicate and in that workout setting, we can get it resolved. And that's like a big thing. So with my classes, it's like, I want the parents to understand that like your kid's going to be a good person also, right? And yeah, just with that, the kids like just watching a kid say like fail a box jump. They failed it like for 2 weeks and then on their third week of trying they get it and
mm,
just to see that and like say like a parent just saying, "Hey, you changed my kid's life." Like they were really scared to try a new sport and with you them coming to your classes, they have the confidence to go try something, right? And I just want kids to be active, right? Because some parents be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, like my kids are gonna have to miss a little while because they have soccer." I'm like, hey, that's great, right? Like when your kids are, done soccer, I'd love to work with them again. But this whole like thing where it's an extracurriculum thing, I always kind of like want parents to see my classes as something that can be ongoing for kids. And that's why I really enjoy that I have like a younger age group and then an older age group because it's been really cool because I've coached kids classes for quite a while. And there's kids that I've been coaching for like 6 years, which is I've just seen them grow and that's been really exciting. And then I'm like friends with them too. So it kind of like I feel like I'm not 34. Just because I'm around kids and I'm a very like bubbly, lively person. So yeah, just to be like friends with these little kids and like I feel like my favorite thing ever is like if I'm out and about at a grocery store or something and I just hear a kid, that's Coach Amy, and I'm
nice.
oh, like hi, like I just love that kids see me as Coach Amy because that's like my best title. I love being a coach. I love helping people. And then yeah, with like adults, coaching adults in Fort McLeod and Claire's home, I've gotten to know adults really well. And I had a lady kind of like last week come up to me and she's just like, thank you for giving me hope. And I was like, you know what? Like, I didn't really think I was giving people like hope. Like, I'm here to help you with your fitness journey. But like, fitness can just be so much more than working out. Like, I know for you, you understand all of that. And like, my life would be completely different if I didn't decide 15 years ago to hop and get a gym membership. Like it was just a thing I did. And I don't remember why I got a gym membership.
Hmm.
But I moved to Lethbridge. Like I was 19, 20-ish before I even set foot in a gym. So lots of people that see me now, they kind of think, "Oh, you were born with it. Your genetics are really good." And I was like, "Well, no." Like this has been a lot of hard work, and I want people to understand like hard work is fun, right? Like it's what makes it worth it. If it wasn't hard, I wouldn't be going to the gym. I wouldn't be pushing myself and seeing the progress. And people that like say come to my classes or in the gym, like to feel proud of yourself for doing something for you and you're the only one that did the work, right? Like that's it. I think that's pretty special and like mentally that's gonna help you through any hard thing that you go through in life. Like I know if something bad happens in my life, I'm going to be like, well, I've done hard things pretty much every day of my life. Like I've pushed myself at the gym. Nobody sees it, but I know I did it. And like I compete, right? And so in strongman and powerlifting, it's like, okay, now I've done the work and here, let's go show people what I've got. Um, I think that is a big thing about my business too, is showing people that I do what I say. Because, like, yeah, I don't want to be a coach and then just sit on my butt for like half the day, like I'm a very active person. I live on a farm, so when I'm not coaching or programming, I'm taking care of chickens and goats and and
You
all of that.
know,
And like fitness is part of my life. You know, like being on a farm, I don't have to like go and call my husband to come do the hard thing. Like literally one time I had to take my goat to the vet and we didn't have a trailer, so literally had to squat my like 100-pound goat, pick her up, and put her in my CRV. So like if I never worked out, I wouldn't even be able to do the daily tasks that I want to be able to do.
do you notice now? Obviously my daughter's 10.
Hmm.
She started karate in Calgary in 2020, then did kids boxing classes in Calgary in 2020, and
Nice.
now out here she's doing Muay Thai and just loving it. But
Yeah.
the biggest thing I've noticed the difference with the small town and the big town, when the parents would come watch, mostly in Calgary, every parent
Hmm.
is head down in their phone the whole time.
Yeah.
And you could just see the kids looking at them the same way they do at like a school assembly. Just
Yeah,
like,
it's the
oh,
disconnection.
yeah, it's like, are they
Hmm.
watching? Are they watching? I mean, I take my phone out to take a few pictures or a cool video
Yeah.
in there, but it's just, I don't know, just, people, the world's going to continue when the 45-minute class is over. Just
Yeah.
put your phone away and just watch your kid. You
And
could
kids
just see it.
notice it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You can see
Yeah.
them looking. I was taking a video. You'd see like they were doing belt testing, right?
Yeah.
A big deal. And
Hmm.
when out here, every parent was focused, even watching all the other kids. They were cheering them on.
Yeah. That's
And
awesome.
that's the biggest thing I've noticed from a few of from the kids' powerlifting videos that you
Right.
posted. It's everyone's invested,
Yeah.
everyone's cheering. Like,
Hmm.
and I
And
remember at
that's what I
the,
love to see because I don't even teach those kids to do that. And then actually it was pretty cool last year. I competed the same day and actually I'm gonna compete May 3rd in Lethbridge at Parts. And the kids' deadlift is like right after. So it'll happen again this year. And like the kids start coming in getting ready for their deadlift and I'm like finishing competing. So last year I even saw a video of like me deadlifting and like picking up 350 pounds and like in the background my kids are cheering and watching for me. So I think that was like super special, but it was really funny because like when I'm competing, I'm not Coach Amy at that moment.
yeah,
I'm very like in tune, focused. And so some parents would like start coming out to me like, no, like I need to get this lift done and then I can be Coach Amy.
yeah,
So it was really cool just to like have the kids see me do what I like teach. And then like I even have like some kids be like, "Hey, Coach Amy, my mom told me you pulled a cement truck." And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "No way." And I was like, "Well, here's a video." And so it's just like really cool. And then like doing like last year we did our first kids strongman competition during fair days and
yeah.
raised
I
money
was
for kids
watching
with
that. It was awesome.
EP and yeah, so like just raising money for Alex and like kids like Alex, that was pretty special. And the community really came like just to watch these kids. So I'm excited for we're doing it again. And like the kids deadlifted a motorbike. Like how cool. And this year we actually have small harnesses going to be made and the kids are going to pull like a side by side. So I
Nice.
just think it's like super cool to like show kids like you can do some really cool things if your body's strong, right? And I just think like mentally, like I know for me, right, having that freedom is very like like I guess free, yeah. like especially talking to like older adults, right? And like I know for myself, like if all of a sudden the house was on fire and my husband was passed out, he's a big guy, he's a 300 pounds strong man, but I know I could save him, right? And like I think about, say, like my mom. If something happened to my dad, there's no way my mom could save my dad. And in that situation, that would be terrible. That'd be a terrible feeling, not just knowing that, like, okay, if I didn't take care of my body and worked out and all of that, um, yeah, I could have changed something. So I just think people need to like look outside of just the gym and
Yeah.
think about like their overall life, right? Like I never want to be in a situation that me thinking if I was stronger, I could do something about it, you know?
One thing that I loved about watching, I was at that competition during the fair
Hmm.
days. And my goodness, there's about 100 kids there. And after every kid went, that kid just went to the sidewalk to cheer on the next kid.
Yeah.
And I remember one little guy, he was a little tiny dude. I don't know, he must have been like 7 years old,
Yeah.
trying to lift the bike. And he tried, stop, tried, stop about 8 times. And then he got it
Hmm.
up. And the look on his face when he did it, and he's just walking past everybody cheering, it was really special.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah, no, and like, and that's the same with like strength, the strength community. Like, even I've felt it, right? Going to my first ever strongman competition, I had no idea what I was doing. And the girls were like, here's tacky. This is how you do it. I want you to succeed, right? And I've been in the competition world for quite a while with CrossFit, and there was nothing like that in CrossFit. It was like, we're here, like individual, you're here to win. And if you know something that's going to make you do better in that workout, like everyone just kept it to themselves, right? But with powerlifting and strongman, it is a community that they want you to succeed. And I feel the same way, right? Like last year I won at the Cranbrook Strongman, and one girl that is like one of my top competitors, she was worried about her shoes slipping because it was raining outside and we had to pull a cement truck, and I just went and I had rock climbing shoes. They're way better for a truck pull. And I was like, "Hey, like my shoes didn't slip at all. You want to use mine?" And she's like, "Yeah, thanks." Right? And I'm not going to just be like, "No, don't use my shoes." I want to be I want to beat someone at their best, right? I don't want to be like, "Oh, I lost," like or like I won but thinking I won because I didn't let her use my shoes, you know, and it's that strength community. And I've told people too at like the gym, that big mean looking man that's at the gym is probably the biggest teddy bear you'll ever meet. Or he'll probably be my husband, I don't know, but you know, like they're just like introverted people wanting to like do good and show people that strength sports are for anyone. I've competed against 14-year-olds, I've competed against like 60-year-old women. Like I just think it's super cool. And like for like a grandma to pull a cement truck, I'm like, that's pretty badass.
I had an episode with Adam Price. He's a three-time powerlifting world
Yeah.
champion that has defeated cancer twice. Just one of the strongest dudes I've ever met.
Hmm.
Um, but he told me his biggest admiration was for Special Olympians. He worked with them for
Hmm.
9 years, and he said
Yeah.
he's never seen people that never give up
Yeah.
more so. And one of the first videos I saw of you that led me to reach out to you was working with a very special kid and with his disability. And
Yeah.
let's talk about him, how he touched your life.
Yeah. So Alex came into my life just over 2 years ago. His mom, Crystal, like just randomly texted me and was like, "Hey, my son has a disease called AT. Would you like to work with him?" I didn't even like have a second of out. I said, "Yes, 100%. I will work with your son." I had no idea what AT was or anything like that, so I decided to like just Google some stuff, and there was literally nothing. There's nothing on the internet for kids with AT and exercise, which is just not okay. I don't think that's good. So I just like, with my exercise science background, I just was like, okay, like just thinking like what each muscle does. Like what does your quadriceps do? That type of thing. So he is wheelchair bound, but like we do things on the floor, we do things on his chair. A lot of it is like, and through the years we've figured out, like Alex knows, I'm like, hey, I have an idea. And he's like, okay, but it might not work. Like, we'll try. And so it's just like, okay, we try something. Hey, that worked really good. Oh, this didn't work good. That's fine. Um, but the really cool thing is Alex's doctors have now said that like it's helping him. So the exercising, like it's helping his lung function, and all of that. And like it's just really cool to see that me just working with him once a week is making a difference. And so when I tell people that, like, hey, you should go to the gym or like tell him to come to my class, I'm like, if some boy that's 14 is in a wheelchair and he commits once a week, why can't we?
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's just like Alex inspires me every day. Like, even when I'm doing, say, a hard interval on the bike or something and I want to quit, I just think about Alex because he never gives up. He doesn't let this disease control him. This disease takes so much away from him and it just keeps taking away. Like as he gets older, it just gets worse. So it's just like he doesn't let it define him, right? And like even the way I look at Alex, I don't see a disability. I see potential. And that's where I think a lot of things go wrong with today's society. You look at a kid in a wheelchair, everyone just thinks that they're disabled, but it's like, why do we got to think that way, you know? And yeah, working with Alex has been the best thing I've ever done. And I'm good friends with his family now. And like we've been, yeah, working for 2 years together. He recently decided, I used to train him at his house, but now he's training at Candace's gym in
Nice.
Claire's home. And he actually goes with his mom on the weekend by himself, and he does great. And so he's just building that confidence up little by little. And like we never know like how much it's going to impact his life, but it is making a big impact. And like Crystal, she goes to some conferences and stuff. She knows a lot of AT families. But like it is a rare disease, so like I've never met anybody else with AT. I don't think there's anyone local in Alberta even. And through that, like I made like a little write-up of like some workouts that I do with Alex, and Crystal presented that. And the like everyone was just like, how do I find an Amy? And I was like, you know what? Like I don't think I'm that special, but I just think that I see Alex differently. Like I've never seen Alex as a disabled person. I've always seen him as, yeah, he can do this, right? Like we just have to think outside the box a little bit. And a lot of the things is like, okay, you can't use a dumbbell, but I'm strong. I can give you resistance. So a lot of the things that we do is me using my own body weight. So then the biggest thing is like I don't want him things to fall on him or something like that, right? So like we can just use our own bodies. And so when I work out with Alex, I'm like getting I'm also getting a workout because he's freaking strong, you know, and it's really cool to see like even with his legs, like his legs used to bend really bad and now he's got like straight legs and he can extend his legs, you know, and like if we sat in a wheelchair, yeah, it's going to affect us even if we're not supposed to be in a wheelchair, you know? So it's really interesting. It's cool to see and that like people are starting to see the benefits. So there's more kids that are in wheelchairs that are doing exercising and like I've had more parents reach out to me because Crystal posts all about Alex all the time and I'm very excited that I'm starting a kids wheelchair fitness class in Lethbridge as well. So I'm going to be able to help more kids that are in a wheelchair and just to show that their parents that, hey, just because your kid's in a wheelchair doesn't mean that they can't do something for them, right? Like the biggest thing I think for those kids is they need to be independent. And if you can show them what they can do, that just opens up a lot of doors for them, you know?
Well, you can certainly, just from watching a few of the videos, you can see it on his face how proud he is.
Yeah.
And they just hit me hard. I mean, if anyone wants to see those, are they on your page or is it?
Yeah, there's a few on my page. Amy.Detmers underscore YABBA is where you can see it. And then like Crystal, they're like training really hard for a big adventure. They're going to the Grand Canyon. And so with our kids strongman competition, that's going to be donating all through that. So it's like Alex's army. So it's just like so cool to see like his family, like they're like training hard for this like whole thing because Alex has this cool special chair that they bought that they can go hiking. So someone's in the back pushing, someone's in the front pulling. But you gotta be pretty strong because like that chair's not easy to move. And like Alex is 14. He's not a little boy anymore. So like the families like they're like rucking, like they're putting like a whole bunch of weight in their backpacks, rucking and lifting weights. And it's just like so cool to see like how they just want to see have Alex like experience things, right? And like in today's society, like even with how far we've come with everything, like wheelchairs, it's not accessible. It's like when you really think about it, it's hard for Crystal and them, you know, and people like, I didn't even know this, like with the wheelchair stuff. And like, I see people all the time take like, you know, handicap parking spots. And I'm like, you know what? You have no idea the effect that puts on like families like Crystal, right? Because
Mhm.
Alex's chair is not small. They need that space. So we just need to be a little more, I think, aware of like our surroundings too. And like I know when Alex comes to the gym, like I'm not going to park at the front of the gym, right? Like I'm going to make sure that like they have that spot. And but yeah, there's a lot of obstacles that they have to go over, but they're gonna go in October. I'm really excited for them.
That's amazing. I can't wait to see what happens there.
Yeah.
Now, with you train both adults and kids,
Mm.
which group do you think is the biggest whiners? Like, who complains the most?
Not gonna lie, my adults, yeah, like it's ingrained in us as we're older. Like for kids, like if I tell them to do something, yeah, they're gonna do it. Like, the older we get, the more we hesitate. And yeah, there I get people have a love-hate relationship with Coach Amy sometimes, you know. But when kids do burpees, I'm like, well, kids love burpees. I'm like, wait until you get older and you weigh more than 100 pounds. You won't like burpees, but everybody does burpees in my classes.
Have you ever thought of doing well, a combined class with the where the kids get to train their parents for one day as torture?
I've like thought about like actually I was gonna think about doing it maybe next year for like say Valentine's. Because I've had some moms work out with their daughters. It just randomly worked out at an adults class. And so I've thought of doing a few things like that because like it is really cool. And I do coach families, like they're just not in the same classes, but I do see there's so much value in kids seeing their parents work out, right? They understand like, oh, okay, like mom and dad are like doing something good for them. But for the kids to also understand that they're doing that so that their parents can be better parents, right? Like even Crystal talks about it. She's got to be able to carry Alex. Like she tells parents with kids with AT, like you need to work out so that you can like pick up your kid, right?
Hmm.
And even like being a parent, like I want every parent, every grandparent to be able to run and play with their grandkids or their kids without thinking that they're gonna hurt themselves or that they're too winded, right? Like it's not fun to like not be able to play with your kids and stuff. So yeah, working out, there's always like bigger whys, I think, and everyone's got to figure out. their big why, because when hard things happen, or like, oh, it's too cold, I'm not going to go outside to go to the gym. It's like, okay, wait a second, like you're okay and you're doing this for a reason. So like lots of people ask me like, how do you stay motivated? I'm like, well, I'm really not. Like I'm not motivated, but I just think of working out. It's just what I do. Like it's like I wouldn't go 3 days without brushing my teeth, right? Like that's just what I think about fitness for myself, and I love it so much. That like I work out by myself like 99% of the time. Nobody watches me. I have a coach, I send him videos, but like it's just I do it for myself, right? Like with my life and my business, I do everything for everybody else. And 2 hours out of every day, well, one day I take off. I take off Sundays, but every day I have 2 hours where I'm like, I'm doing this for me, and I'm lifting weights that I never thought I would ever be capable of doing. And I think that's really cool um, to do, and just to see the progress, because when you look back at it, it's like you did that. Like nobody can take that away from me. Nobody can say like, oh, I did half of the work. It's like, well, no, this is my body. I've done the work. Like, and it takes a long time. Like I tell the kids too. I told them, I was like, when I first started working out, my big goal was a 300-pound squat. And I asked the kids, like, how long do you think that took me to do? And the kids were like, oh, like 1 or 2 years. I was like, 10 years. 10 years of squatting, 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 squatting. And I got it in 10 years. And like, I cried. It was like the biggest accomplishment ever. And like, it's just funny because, like, when you get that, then you're like, oh, what else am I capable of doing, So it just like teaches you that if you rely on hard work and consistency, like you're gonna be okay. So it's like in anything that comes up in my life, it's like, well, I've committed to things before. I can commit to other things. And that's what I tell, especially like adults. The more you start to push things off, it becomes more easier, right? Like it's like, oh, like I don't need to go. And then the next time, oh, I don't need to go. I'll go next time. And then you just keep saying that. And then a month later, you haven't been to the gym. Um, I think we just need to prioritize it a little bit more. Like, I'm not saying everyone needs to work out 2 hours out of the day. That's just me and my sport. Like half an hour is great, right? And you can get your heart rate up in half an hour and you're good to go.
You know what's funny is I haven't been working out as much as I used to since I've dropped all that weight, but now that my daughter is in this Muay Thai for 3 months, she's getting really strong. Like
I
she,
love it.
her legs, she actually flipped. Like I'm 247.
Hmm.
And I was 392 at my biggest, but she literally flipped me off the bed the other night. And we were just trying to have a wrestling match. I'm like, oh man, I gotta start working out again because I can't have you kicking my ass like this. This is
Yeah, well, even in my kids' classes and adult classes, like the kids, like we're doing like racing and stuff, and I was like, okay, who wants to go? Some kid would be like, I want to go against Coach Amy. I'm like, all right, like, and I bring it. Like, I'm like, if you beat me, it's because I try my freaking best. Like, I don't hold back on the kids.
we're gonna just jump back here. You said you've been working out for 15 years.
Yeah, about that. I started at the age of like 20, so yeah, yeah, about 15 years.
So what was the first time you walked into a gym like for you?
It was, I don't like fully remember it, but I remember it being scary. But I did go to, I don't even know what it was called. It was like a women's only gym, upstairs at like the grocery store in Lethbridge. So it was like less intimidating, I would say. And I did more classes. Like I was like, because I had no idea like what to do. I never squatted. I never did like any exercising or anything like I played rugby in high school, and that was fun. I just got to hit people and that was a great time, and played football. But yeah, going into the gym, I was like, I have no idea. And like back then, like there was no Instagram, like anything. I just did that, and then I was like, hey, like I like this, but I need guidance. So I did get a personal trainer and he helped me out a lot, like just how to like squat, deadlift, and bench and stuff. But then I also went through like a lot of changes. So like I was overweight, didn't know anything about nutrition, right? Like what was protein, calorie deficit. I had no idea. And then when I got a trainer, I like went almost like too far. Like I was like, okay, I'm not going to eat anything bad. And I was very obsessive, I would say. So I got pretty skinny. But at that time, I didn't see myself like that. Like very, I still thought I was overweight, but now looking back at pictures back then, I was like, oh my God. Like I
Hmm.
was fit, but I looked like I wasn't anorexic or anything like that, but I looked like there was just nothing on me, right? And I was skinny, but I was like had muscle, but it was more so I was skinny, right? And then I met my husband, and he was like, Amy, you need to eat carbs. Like, you need carbs. And I was like, oh, okay. And I ate carbs, and I literally like gained like 30 pounds just like that. And I was like, what the hell? And my husband was like, well, you were deprived. Like, you're not good. And I wasn't in a good headspace, right? I go out like with my friends, but if had something I didn't think I would have, like I'd come home. Oh, I gotta do an extra like 15 minutes of cardio. Like it's just not good. Like that's not okay to like be thinking those things. And I know that now. And like there it's very easy for me to like think that way, but I just know to shut it down now, you know. But then I found like, CrossFit and powerlifting and strongman, all those like sports, strength sports where it doesn't matter what you look like, right? Like with strongman and powerlifting, like there is weight classes and stuff like that, but like a 64 kilo girl like can look completely different on like two individuals, right? So that's when I found like what worked best for me, right? So I tell people like I'm not a nutritionist, but I've been through it all. And you just gotta find what you like, and then that's gonna help you stay consistent. So I actually eat very high protein, high fat, lower carb, and that just works for me, right? Like I'm not gonna tell someone that loves carbs that they should eat like me because that's
Hmm.
just not gonna work. Like you're gonna fall off the bandwagon and binge. Um, but what I do is like that kind of like 80-20 rule, right? Like, so for the week, I eat kind of like the same stuff. And then on the weekend, I'm like, hey, you know what? If I want a cookie, I'm going to have a cookie and I'm not going to go do an extra 10 minutes of cardio. Like, it's just not okay. So I think with all of my experiences, it also helps me be a coach because, like, for a lot of times in any situation, I can be like, I've been there and I understand. And I think that gives lots of value as a coach. But yeah, I did not grow up around like, and it's funny because me and my brother are both into fitness and our parents did nothing, anything to do with fitness. But now, my mom also goes to the gym, and I'm very proud of her. She's almost under 200 pounds, and she hasn't been under 200 pounds since she like got married.
Wow.
So I'm very proud of my mom for doing that. And like I know if I never worked out, my mom never would have started, you know. So it's like you're inspiring a lot of other people, and you never know who you're touching. And like I just hope that like, when my time is up that people can look back and be like, hey, Coach Amy like really changed me and helped me live a better life. Like that's just what I want.
I get that's amazing. I get a lot of dads reach out to me because I post my story on some of the
Yeah.
dads groups, and a lot of them are girl dads like me.
Yeah.
And instead of feeding them what I did, the workouts I did, all I have to say to those guys is you look at your daughter and you think to yourself, listen, do you want to walk her down the aisle someday, or do you want people carrying you down the aisle in a
Yeah.
box? And
Yes.
that one word is like, holy shit. Or like,
Hmm.
you look at your kids and be like, do you want someone else to raise them? And that's usually all I gotta say. And then
Yeah.
boom. Because I mean, I'm not an expert. What worked for me might not work for this
Right.
guy.
Hmm.
But yeah, like I talked to a lot of dads and some moms, and just your kids are your lifeline. So,
Oh, yeah. And so like for me, like I don't have any kids, and lots of people are like, why don't you have kids? Like that's it. You're good with kids. And I was like, yeah, I know I'm good with kids, but I like to come home to a quiet place, a quiet house, I have dogs. They're my babies, but like even for me, my why is I want to be around for my nieces and nephews. I love and like my nieces and nephews, like they work out because me and Uncle Drew work out, right? So like we have a home gym and like I my niece, like my little niece is like deadlifted like 70 pounds. And I'm just like,
uh,
hell yeah, like that's so cool. And like I'm so proud of like all the kids I coach and stuff, but it's pretty special when like your niece and nephew are into it and they just like show people, right? Like lots of people are like, "Oh, kids shouldn't be working out," like all that like back in the day. It'll
yeah.
stunt their growth and all of that. And I was like, "No, no, like it's actually going to help them." Right? Like they're gonna learn motor control, agility, all of that within one class, right? So I feel like we're going away from that, which is really nice. Um, but yeah, just like letting parents see that like it's really beneficial for them and mentally, right? Like I feel bad for kids in today's society. I really do. It'd be a hard place to grow up in.
Oh man, I watch. Like
Yeah.
my daughter talks to some of her friends from school and stuff,
Yeah.
and I did a lot of dumb shit when I was in grade three, four, five, six. But
Yeah.
thank God, like they do something now and it's there forever. Like people
Yeah, the
for
videos, they're everywhere.
people forgot that. I mean, I one time stuck my tongue to the swing and on a dare, and the fire department
Yeah.
actually had to come and pour hot water over
Oh
me. But
gosh.
there's
I've
no
never
video.
done that before, thank goodness.
I'd never
But that's
turned down a
right,
dare. I
like,
was,
and that's the disconnection, right? Like,
yeah,
so like in my classes, there's no cell phones. There's nothing, right? I'm not on my phone either. Like I might be taking some videos or something or like timing and stuff, but and that's where you get your full attention. So like you talking about, like parents you see at the playgrounds and like watching their classes, it's like kids notice that. And I even saw the other day I was in the mall randomly and this like dad was with his little daughter and like she's in the chair and she's like looking up and she's adorable and her dad's just glued to his phone. And I'm like, why?
yeah.
Like you're missing out on your cute little kid, and yeah, the disconnect. I try to stay off my phone as much as I can, but of course, like my business is on there, so I even have a hard time. But the thing that helped me with social media is like I used to be pretty bad at like, oh, this girl I compete against, look at what she's lifting. I'm like, well, what the hell? Like, why am I not there? Now I look at it differently. It was actually from a strongman girl competitor. She talked about comparison where she's like, hey, that girl can do that. Okay, that motivates me because if somebody else can do it, then maybe I can. And I really like that. I think it's a way better way to think about it because in yeah these strength sports like we're especially all the women like they're uplifting everybody. Like I compete against women that like are just like they're lifting like their max is like something I can't even dream of, or like their like easy set is my max, like it's just like but they cheer for me and I cheer for them. Like it's just like super cool. And so if I can help like more kids, I don't know, get into powerlifting too, or like more strength sports, like I think that's awesome because it is really growing, especially strongman. Strongman is a growing competition, and I really like to see that.
See, it's pretty similar to. I started this podcast a month ago, and of
Hmm.
course, I did some research, watched some other ones, and then you try not to worry about the numbers because I really don't care about the numbers.
Right. Hmm.
I did get approached for ads, but from the site I host this on, but I'm like, no, I want full control over what I associate with.
Mm-hmm.
I stay out of politics on here. I don't really talk,
Yeah.
it's just real chat. And for me, if 50 people watch our little chat
Mm-hmm.
and there's a mom or a dad or someone who has a kid that's going through some shit and they reach out wherever they are, or if they're close to here, they come to you, that's more valuable than if this had 10 million views,
For sure.
right?
Yeah, and
'Cause
I feel the same way even with my business. Like, yeah, I want to make some income, like
oh
just
yeah,
to live, you know. But like when a parent like gives me a review of like what I've done for their kid, and it's just like, wow, like I really do make a difference. And I guess I don't really like think about it as much because I just love what I do so much. But looking back on, yeah, the kids that I've coached, it's pretty cool. And like now there's kids like they're going off to college and I've coached them and I just think that's pretty cool.
yeah. And well, that's mainly why I had you on here because man, I know you're different like that. Like you can tell when people are real and they really give a shit. I've had some people reach out that wanted to come on here and they just want to promote like some sort of digital marketing business. I'm like, no, it's not
Yeah.
about that. Like, we kind of have a chat and then we filtered out. But I mean, I just knew knowing you almost 2 years that you're one of the legit ones, and they could even see it on your face when you were talking
Yeah, I
about the
try.
boy. Yeah, when you're talking about that boy in the wheelchair, you could see it. You could see it in your eyes how much you gave a shit, and
Yeah,
I
Alex,
really
he's a
respect
good
that.
kid. Yeah, he's a special kid and that's why I started that like kids strongman competition. Well, it was kind of cool because one of the guys that was a part of it, he like runs like Alberta Strongman Corporation, like helps with it. And he said it was the first kids strongman competition ever in Alberta. So I think that's pretty cool and to see it grow from year to year. My goal is that like there's kids coming from Edmonton to come do this competition. There's kids coming from BC, Saskatchewan, right? Like let's make this a really cool thing. And my biggest thing was too with that is there's no participation. No. Like you get first, you deserve a big medal. And so last year we just had first places and this year we're doing first, second, and third. But my biggest thing too was like I want the kids like you're gonna be scored, you're gonna be judged. I want you to do your best. And I want kids to see that, like, just because you try your best doesn't mean you're going to win, right? Like, I've competed multiple times, and the times that I've lost has made me win. I don't think I would have ever won any competitions if I never lost one. And so I also want kids to see that. And, like, when my one of the parents was like, yeah, my kid was, it was a tough ride home. Like they were crying because they thought they should have won. But it's like the parents also saying, like, hey, you taught my kid a really valuable lesson, and they're excited to get back into the gym and get stronger. So, yeah, I'm not for like not judging, and I don't want to give kids participation awards. I want them to like do really hard. And then last year too, we had a spirit award which one little girl won, and everyone agreed that she should get it. Like she was just a smaller kid, and just did not give up. So she's inspiring other kids to do that. And yeah, I just think with strongman, it's super cool. Like a kid goes back to school during the summer and be like, "What did you do this summer?" Be like, "I deadlifted a motorbike." Like
Nice.
like, you know what? Like, you're gonna be, and you're gonna go to school. Maybe there's those bullies and be like, hey, don't mess with me now, you know?
Hmm.
Like, I'm not for, like punching kids or like, kids fighting and stuff, but just to have the confidence, just to stand up to a bully, like that's kids need that,
Yeah.
and just kids like talking to me too, like like you're going about how you can see that I care about the kids, so kids will tell me things and I'm like I'm here to help you, right? Like I've been a kid too.
Hmm.
And like yeah, with I tell the kids like this is how I like talk about nutrition because like nowadays there's so much McDonald's, like A&W, all of this stuff, right? And I tell the kids I'm like, hey, if you had a Mustang, you're not going to put regular gas in that Mustang. And they're like, no. They're like, we would put premium. And I'm like, okay. So put premium fuel in your body. You are a Mustang or you're a sports car. And so it's cool, like when kids, like some parents be like, oh, my kid came home and he said he had to eat more protein. I'm like, good. So then, like, it's helping, like, even families get healthier together, right?
I've got one more question for you
Yeah, sure.
before we get out of here. I'm gonna fire all your links in the description. If you're listening to this, come check out the description. Get in contact with Amy if you're close. If you're not, even just for some from tips or because I do have two users that listen to me in Singapore, so you never know.
Hmm, that's cool.
Um, yeah, my last question. 100 meters, 100-meter race. At the start of the race, there's a basket of pigeons. How many pigeons do you think you could carry and have in your arms at the end of a 100-meter dash?
Oh, 10.
10.
I own chickens. I'm pretty good.
You know, the paramedic that saved my life, she lives on a farm and she said two, but
Oh,
only because she grabbed them by the legs and walked them this way. But I don't know.
I
It's
tried to like.
myself, I could probably do too. I don't know. But, yeah, thanks for coming on with me. Keep
Oh,
doing
thanks for
amazing things
having
with
me.
kids. And anyone wants to keep up on Amy's powerlifting journey, she has all kinds of videos on her Instagram and everywhere. We'll fire all those links in the description as well.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Amy. You take care.